1. Iris van Herpen's bioluminescent dress. Fashion sustainable future? 2. Iris van Herpen's bioluminescent dress, a living masterpiece of couture and science. 3. This dress is alive. Inside Iris van Herpen's bioluminescent Fall 2025 Couture. 1. Iris van Herpen's bioluminescent dress. Fashion sustainable future? Imagine a world where fashion not only dazzles but also heals the planet. Dutch couturier Iris van Herpen is making this vision a reality with her latest collection, Symbiosis. This isn't just about stunning designs, it's about pioneering sustainable materials that could revolutionize the fashion industry. Van Herpen has always been at the forefront of material innovation, from dresses made of banana leaf and cocoa beans to being one of the first designers to experiment with 3D printing. But here's where it gets controversial. Her latest collection features a living dress made of 125 million bioluminescent algae. Yes, you read that right, algae. And this is the part most people miss. The collection also includes 2 wedding dresses, one crafted from a man-made bio-based protein by Spiber, a company with ambitious plans to reduce the fashion industry's environmental impact. But can these innovative materials truly save the world? Let's dive in. Spiber, the Japanese biotechnology firm behind the bio-based protein, was founded in 2007 by Kazuhide Sekiyama and Junichi Sugihara. Their journey began at Keio University, where they successfully grew spider silk in a lab. Today, Spiber specializes in brewed protein, a fiber made from fermented sugarcane. This material is not only biodegradable but also recyclable, as it can be broken down into nutrients and reused as feedstock for new protein production through fermentation. But here's the catch. The broader uptake of biomaterials has been hindered by higher costs, longer lead times, and limited accessibility. Spiber has collaborated with fashion brands like Burberry, The North Face, and Sakai, but even they haven't been immune to these challenges. When Burberry used brewed protein in a scarf last October, it had to be blended with 62% wool and 8% cashmere. More than 15 years in, Spiber is finally ready to take brewed protein out of the lab and into the mass market. In 2022, they opened the world's first commercial protein polymer production plant in Thailand, and last year, they established Spiber Europe to accelerate business development and sales in the region. It sounds exciting, but it can all be difficult to understand if you aren't a biochemist. I spoke to Spiber CEO Sekiyama about this fiber, the collaboration with Iris van Herpen, and how his company plans to strengthen fashion supply chain and help keep the peace. Vogue, how exciting to have a dress made of Spiber's bio-based fibers in the Iris van Herpen show. But what is brewed protein? Sekiyama, Spiber is a Japanese biotechnology company, and we make a man-made protein called brewed protein. Everything about you is made up of DNA. DNA is composed of 20 different amino acids. The order these amino acids come into, as well as their length, defines the difference between features like your muscles, skin, and eyes, and any other protein. Silk, cashmere, they are also protein-based materials. So we have come up with a way to produce a protein-based material in a lab through what we call a microbial fermentation process, which is basically how you also make yogurt or cheese. Vogue, how did you get the idea and found the company? Sekiyama, I met my mentor, Professor Masaru Tomita, who is the founder and general director of the Institute for Advanced Biosciences at Keio University, when I was a senior in high school. He told me the interdisciplinary advances between the life sciences and computer sciences are changing the world. He said this is where the solutions for all the world's problems, like food, energy, the environment, can be found. So that inspired me, and I entered his lab in 2004 and started my own research at the same time, together with my co-founder Junichi Sugihara, where we looked to reproduce the spider silk protein through microbial fermentation. We analyzed about 1,000 species of spider and their threads. In 2007, we succeeded in replicating a very small amount of spider silk completely in the lab. And that's when we established the company. Vogue. So that's why it's called Spiber. Why spiders? Sekiyama, indeed, spider fiber. We were talking with some colleagues in the lab, and someone mentioned that spider silk is a really tough and good material, hence Spider-Man. Its toughness per weight is, I think, 7 times higher than heat-resistant synthetic fiber, Kevlar. However, a few years after we founded the company, we found that the spider silks have a physical property called supercontraction. That means that when it touches water, it shrinks a lot, which isn't really helpful when you are trying to make clothes. Imagine getting caught in the rain and your jacket begins to shrink. So we had to go back to the DNA design and work on creating a new type of DNA that could actually be used in the apparel industry. So even though the company started with a mission to replicate spider silks, the protein that we produce now is not that. It's our own unique DNA design, which is suitable for apparel products. Vogue. The collaboration with Iris van Herpen is not your first fashion collaboration, but is it the first couture collaboration? Sekiyama. We've actually been working with Japanese couturier Uema Nakazato since 2019. But we feel it is really time now to accelerate our business because we strongly believe our protein can serve as a solution for many issues the apparel industry is facing. We are finally now able to commercialize the material, too. It took us over 10 years to release the very first Spiber product called Moon Parka, which was in collaboration with the North Face and came out in 2019. But back then, we were not able to produce brewed protein in big quantities. We just established our first commercial production plant in Thailand, which allows us to provide the materials to a wider range of brands and companies. So we really hope to expand our business in Europe and globally. As of February 2025, the plant has produced approximately 200 tons of protein polymer, with plans to scale up production to 500 tons per year in the coming years. And we have collaborations in place with international yarn and textile manufacturers, which have helped develop the fiber. Some can produce 100% brewed protein textiles and expand our reach. Vogue. How did the collaboration with Iris van Herpen come about? Sekiyama. We sought her out as she is an outstanding couturier who, much like us, is inspired by nature and led by a philosophy of sustainability. Vogue. What are you looking to get out of this alignment with high fashion? Sekiyama. I believe that biotechnology has the potential to diversify and strengthen the global supply chain, which is important to keep peace in the world. But that takes a long time. Take, for example, petrochemical fibers. It took over 100 years for them to be industrialized. But we don't have much time left. Seeing all these environmental problems coming up and the global conflicts. So given that situation, we want as many companies as possible to use Spiber in a short time frame. And we believe that working with high fashion brands helps in that mission to penetrate the supply chain. Vogue. How do you propose to strengthen the supply chain? Sekiyama. When we talk about strengthening and diversifying the global supply chain, we're referring to Spiber's broader vision of creating a sustainable, decentralized production ecosystem for brewed protein materials. This includes sourcing untapped biomass, such as bagasse, the fibrous residue left over after sugarcane stalks are crushed to extract their juice, agricultural waste, and used bio-based textiles from various regions around the world, and using that as feedstock to produce brewed protein polymers. We estimate there are several billion tons of underutilized biomass resources worldwide. By leveraging these efficiently without needing to expand farmland or increase livestock production, we can scale brewed protein for use in textiles, food ingredients, and more. Because protein is a high-value product with wide-ranging applications, and because microbial fermentation is highly efficient when optimized with our proprietary technology, we believe this approach can support the development of an entirely new sustainable industry. In addition to our existing production and spinning operations in Thailand and Japan, we're exploring the establishment of polymer production and spinning facilities outside of Japan. This will help shorten lead times, reduce reliance on any single location, and make our materials more accessible globally. But here's a thought-provoking question. Can biomaterials like brewed protein truly revolutionize the fashion industry, or are they just a passing trend? And what role do you think high-fashion collaborations play in making sustainable materials mainstream? Share your thoughts in the comments below. 2. Iris van Herpen's bioluminescent dress, a living masterpiece of couture and science. Imagine a gown that's literally alive, glowing with blue bioluminescent light and pulsing with 125 million microscopic organisms. Iris van Herpen's latest haute couture masterpiece for her Sympoiesis collection isn't just groundbreaking. It's a symbiotic fusion of science, art, and nature that challenges everything we know about fashion. But here's where it gets controversial. This isn't just a dress. It's a living ecosystem. The future of fashion is biological. Van Herpen, known for pushing boundaries with 3D printed exoskeletons and magnetic-sensitive fabrics, has surpassed even her own innovative standards with this living look. In the darkened Paris runway, models will wear a pattern that pulses with a vivid blue light, a result of single-cell Pyrocystis lunula algae arranged in skeletal vegetal designs. These moon-shaped microorganisms don't just glow, they sleep, reproduce, and react to their environment like the ultimate biological collaborators. Cultivating Couture. Creating this dress required a 35-step process that reads like a biotech laboratory experiment. Chris Bellamy, a Stanford-trained biodesigner, partnered with Van Herpen to grow Pyrocystis lunula in controlled seawater chambers. The algae double every 2 weeks, eventually forming 20 liters of bioluminescent liquid. Then comes the tricky part, transforming this living soup into wearable art. Bellamy's team tested 50 different seaweed-based gels to achieve the perfect texture, think somewhere between Jell-O and watercolor paint, coating custom molds with a breathable membrane that keeps the algae alive while maintaining their glow. The result? A garment that requires precise environmental controls, temperature, humidity, and light cycles, matching those of its oceanic origins. Even during European heat waves, the algae dims slightly like overworked employees calling in sick. The gown that outsmarts clothing. Like a high-maintenance plant in a space-age greenhouse, this dress requires constant care. But it also evolves. The algae continue to mate and reproduce inside their garment prison, making the ensemble brighter over time. Van Herpen calls this a breakthrough symbiosis, comparing the process to raising a pet rather than sewing fabric. You bond with it, she says. It becomes a living collaboration that exceeds human creation. The debate nobody's having. But here's the ethical tightrope walk. Are we ready to wear living organisms? The dress's inhabitants can survive for weeks without care. Bellamy likens them to a hardy houseplant. But when they eventually die, the garment's hue will shift. Is this sustainable? Or just a chic disposable moment? Van Herpen sees it as a metaphor for our relationship with Earth. We need to protect what gives us life, she asserts. The ocean is our largest ecosystem, and this dress represents our obligation to preserve it. Why this matters beyond fashion. Bellamy, who transitioned from electric car engineering to biodesign after realizing the futility of more stuff, draws parallels between nature and AI. Both systems demand humility, he argues. With AI, we're forced to understand complex systems we don't control. Nature teaches us the same lesson. The algae's responses to environmental stress mirror how we might approach AI ethics, learning to respect rather than dominate. The symbiosis paradox. This collection's title, derived from Greek roots meaning making together, reflects Van Herpen's belief that true innovation comes from collaboration, not just between humans, but between species. Yet the dress's transient existence raises questions. Can ephemeral art have lasting impact? Is bioluminescent fashion a gimmick or a manifesto? Van Herpen's atelier is now a crossroads where haute couture meets marine biology, challenging traditional notions of craftsmanship. This isn't just a dress. It's a conversation starter about humanity's role in preserving life on Earth. The real question is, will you wear it, or will it wear you? 3. This dress is alive. Inside Iris van Herpen's Bioluminescent Fall 2025 Couture. Iris van Herpen's Fall 2025 Couture collection is nothing short of a breathtaking exploration into the realm of fashion, where garments are not just worn but come alive. This innovative designer has ventured into uncharted territory by incorporating a staggering 125 million bioluminescent algae into her creations. These unique organisms require specific conditions to thrive: 8 hours of light, 8 hours of rest, and a serene, cool environment. It's almost as if they share a kinship with us, needing care and attention to flourish. During a preview of her latest show, Van Herpen captivated an audience member, leaving him in awe. As she explained, when it's happy, it responds to the movement of the person who's wearing it. The show was a sensory feast, blending light sculptures, evocative music, ethereal fabrics, and choreographed movements to evoke emotions reminiscent of a David Attenborough documentary, yet infused with the distinctive visual poetry that only Van Herpen can create. Naturally, this raises a multitude of questions about the algae-infused dress, particularly the pressing inquiry: how long will it last? Van Herpen candidly admitted, "We don't know. No one knows. It's one big pioneering process." She further clarified that, at this stage, these pieces are more suited for museum displays rather than everyday wear, as they require meticulous daily care. She shared a striking image from her phone, showcasing the squishy garment nestled within a temperature-controlled chamber made of steel and glass, with mist gathering at the bottom. This creation is as enigmatic as it is beautiful, a result of collaboration with engineer and biodesigner Chris Bellamy, who devised a method to keep the algae alive in a nutrient-rich gel. Each of the 18 looks presented by Van Herpen felt like a self-contained ecosystem. One standout piece, a kinetic dress created in partnership with artist Casey Curran, moved gracefully, resembling an otherworldly skeleton. Another featured Japanese air fabric, suspended on wires and drifting like a jellyfish caught in unseen currents. Additionally, a cutting-edge material made from brewed protein by Spiber bore an uncanny resemblance to the suckers of an octopus or even a cascade of Pringles, elegantly draping over a fishtail dress. Van Herpen masterfully intertwined scientific innovation with haute couture artistry, drawing inspiration from Wa Fuller, a trailblazer in modern dance. She equipped a performer with wing-like appendages that interacted with laser beams designed by Nick Verstand, creating a mesmerizing visual experience. Van Herpen described this show opener as a metaphor for how we have drained the life out of our oceans. In a bid to engage all the senses, she collaborated with renowned perfumer Francis Kurkjian to create a custom fragrance that wafted through the air like a gentle wave during the performance. The collection featured vaporous dresses that behaved as if submerged in the depths of Europe's largest pool, an experience Van Herpen has previously explored in her Spring 2023 Couture collection. One particularly striking piece swirled upward around a model, reminiscent of egg whites caught in a whirlwind. Through her extraordinary craftsmanship, Van Herpen not only defies the laws of gravity but also provokes profound reflections on our planet's health. Her creations illuminate the world of Couture Week, much like the vibrant, joyful algae that inspired them.